Chapter 1: The New Neighbor. A quiet suburban neighborhood. Emily, a young professional, Jack, her new neighbor. Emily had just moved into a new house in a quiet suburban neighborhood. She was excited to start her new life but felt a bit lonely. The house was cozy, with a small garden and a porch where she could sit and read. One evening, as she was unpacking boxes, she noticed a man watching her from across the street. He was standing in his front yard, looking at her with an intense gaze. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine but tried to brush it off as mere curiosity. "Hi," Emily said, trying to break the ice as she walked towards him. The man nodded but didn't smile. "I'm Jack," he said briefly before turning back to his house. Emily felt a bit uneasy but decided not to make much of it. She went back to unpacking, occasionally glancing over at Jack's house. As the days went by, Emily noticed Jack watching her more frequently. He would be in his yard when she left for work and when she came back home. She started feeling like she was under constant surveillance. One night, as she was walking back from the grocery store, she saw Jack following her from a distance. She quickened her pace but didn't dare look back. When she reached her house, she locked the door and tried to calm down. Why is he doing this? Emily wondered, feeling both scared and confused. She decided to talk to her friends about it but realized they were all busy with their own lives. Feeling isolated, Emily decided to confront Jack directly. The next day, as she saw Jack mowing his lawn, she approached him calmly but firmly. "Jack, can we talk?" Emily asked. Jack stopped mowing and looked at her with an expression that was hard to read. "Sure," he said finally. "I've noticed you've been watching me a lot," Emily continued. "It makes me uncomfortable." Jack sighed deeply before speaking. "I'm sorry if I've made you feel that way. I just want to make sure you're safe." "Safe?" Emily repeated. "What do you mean?" "There are things you don't know about this neighborhood," Jack said cryptically. "Things that could put you in danger." Emily's curiosity was piqued despite her initial skepticism. "What kind of things?" "I'll tell you more when the time is right," Jack promised before returning to his lawn mowing. Emily left feeling more confused than ever but also intrigued by Jack's mysterious words. Chapter 2: The Mysterious Behavior. The Neighborhood Streets. Over the next few days, Emily noticed Jack's behavior becoming even more peculiar. He would leave notes on her porch with cryptic messages like, "Be careful," or "Watch your back." One evening, as she was walking home from work, she saw Jack following her again. This time, however, he wasn't alone. There was another figure lurking in the shadows behind him. Feeling scared and unsure what to do next, Emily decided it was time for some answers. The next morning, she knocked on Jack's door determinedly. "Jack, we need to talk," Emily said firmly when he opened the door. "Of course," Jack replied calmly. "Come in." Inside his house, which was surprisingly neat and organized considering his enigmatic nature outside, Emily confronted him directly about his actions. "Why are you following me? And who was that person last night?" Jack sighed deeply before speaking slowly and deliberately. "I've been watching over you because there's someone from your past who's looking for you. Someone who doesn't have good intentions." Emily's heart raced at this revelation. "What do you mean? Who is it?" "I'll tell you everything soon," Jack promised again without giving any further details immediately, instead handing her small folder containing some documents photographs inside. As Emily took folder Emily confronted him directly about his actions. "Why are you following me? And who was that person last night?" Jack sighed deeply before speaking slowly and deliberately. "I've been watching over you because there's someone from your past who's looking for you. Someone who doesn't have good intentions." Emily's heart raced at this revelation. What do you mean? Who is it? I'll tell you everything soon, Jack promised again without giving any further details immediately, instead handing her small folder containing some documents, photographs inside. As Emily took folder hesitantly opened it, saw picture herself child standing. Next, unknown man felt world spinning around, suddenly realized life wasn't what thought new anymore. Chapter 3, The Strange Gifts. Emily's front porch and various locations around the neighborhood. Over the next few days, Emily found more gifts on her front porch. Each gift was thoughtful and personal, but there was no note or indication of who might be leaving them. One morning, she woke up to find a bouquet of flowers arranged neatly on her porch. The flowers were her favorite, and the arrangement was beautiful. Attached to the bouquet was a small note that simply read, "For you." Emily felt a mix of emotions, gratitude for the kind gesture, but also unease because she didn't know who was behind it. She assumed it might be Jack, given his recent behavior, but she wasn't sure why he would do such a thing without saying anything directly. The next day, she found a book on her porch. It was one she had mentioned liking in a casual conversation with her co-workers a few weeks ago. There was no note this time, just a book with a bookmark placed at a chapter she had been eager to read. As the days went by, more gifts appeared. She found her favorite coffee on her porch one morning. And another day, she discovered a small trinket that reminded her of childhood memories she had long forgotten. It was clear that someone was paying close attention to her life, but the intentions behind these gifts remained unclear. Emily felt both touched by the thoughtfulness and scared by the invasion of her privacy. The conversation with Jack. One evening, as she was walking back from the grocery store, Emily decided to confront Jack about the gifts. She approached him calmly but firmly. "Jack, can we talk?" Emily asked as she stood in front of his house. Jack looked up from his gardening and nodded. "Of course, Emily. What's on your mind?" "I've been finding these gifts on my porch," Emily explained. "Flowers, books, coffee. It's all very thoughtful, but I don't know who's doing it or why." Jack's expression changed slightly. He looked concerned, but also a bit relieved that she had brought it up. "I've been leaving those gifts," Jack admitted after a moment of silence. "I wanted to make sure you felt welcome here and to show you that someone cares." "But why so secretly?" Emily asked, still feeling a bit uneasy. "I didn't want to scare you off," Jack replied. "I know my behavior has been strange lately, but I promise my intentions are good." Emily looked at him skeptically but also saw something genuine in his eyes. "Why are you doing all this for me?" she pressed on. "Because," Jack said slowly, "I believe you're in danger. And I want to help protect you." Emily's heart skipped a beat at this revelation. "What kind of danger?" she asked urgently. "I'll tell you everything soon," Jack promised again without giving any further details immediately, instead looking around cautiously as if ensuring no one was listening. As they stood there in silence for a moment, Emily realized how much she didn't know about her life or this neighborhood anymore. Chapter 4, The Trail of Clues. Various locations around the neighborhood and Jack's house. Determined to uncover the truth behind Jack's mysterious behavior and the gifts, Emily decided to investigate further along with him. Since he seemed willing to help now openly rather than secretly, she felt a bit more at ease. They started by going through old emails and forgotten phone numbers that Emily had saved over the years. Jack helped her sift through these, looking for any clues that might explain why someone was after her. One evening, as they sat in Jack's living room surrounded by papers and documents, Emily found an old email from an unknown sender. The email was cryptic but mentioned a name, Ethan. "Do you know anyone named Ethan?" Jack asked, his eyes narrowing as he looked at the email. Emily thought for a moment before shaking her head. No, I don't think so. Jack nodded. Let's dig deeper. They spent the next few days researching Ethan, but every lead seemed to end in a dead end. It was as if Ethan didn't exist or was a ghost from her past. The hidden room. One night, while searching through Jack's house for more clues, Emily stumbled upon a hidden room behind a bookshelf. Inside, she found boxes filled with letters and photographs. As she opened one of the boxes, she saw photographs of herself as a child standing next to a man she didn't recognize. There were also letters addressed to her from someone named Ethan. Ethan is my brother, Emily realized, her voice trembling. But why did I forget about him? Jack's expression was somber. It looks like your past has been hidden from you for a reason. Let's keep looking for more answers. The cryptic messages. As they continued their search, they found cryptic messages hidden within books Emily had read over the years. These messages seemed to point to a larger conspiracy involving her family and her forgotten brother. One message read, "The truth is in the shadows. Look for the light." Another message said, "Trust no one. They are all watching." Emily felt like she was living in a thriller novel, with every step revealing more questions than answers. The unexpected phone call. As they were about to leave Jack's house, his phone rang. He answered it hesitantly and listened for a moment before his expression turned grave. "What is it?" Emily asked, feeling a sense of dread. "It's about Ethan," Jack said slowly. "He's been found. And he's coming for you." Emily's heart raced as she realized that her life was about to change forever. Chapter 5, The Revelation. An old warehouse on the outskirts of town. With the latest escape from their pursuers, Emily and Jack knew they had to find a way to uncover more about why they were being chased. They decided to meet Ethan at an old warehouse on the outskirts of town, hoping to get some answers. As they approached the warehouse, Emily felt a mix of fear and determination. She was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Inside the warehouse, they found Ethan waiting for them. He looked older than Emily remembered from the photographs, but had the same piercing eyes. "Hello, sister," Ethan said softly as he approached her. Emily took a step back, unsure of what to say or do next. "Why did you forget about me?" Ethan asked gently but with a hint of sadness in his voice. "I don't know," Emily admitted truthfully. "But I want to know why you're here now." Ethan sighed deeply before speaking slowly. "Our family has secrets, secrets that could put you in danger if revealed. Our parents were involved in something big, something that made us targets." Emily's eyes widened as she tried to process this information. "What kind of secrets?" she asked urgently. "Our parents were part of a secret organization," Ethan explained. "They were working on a project that could change the world, but it also made them enemies. When they disappeared, I was left to protect you." Emily felt her world spinning around her. She had so many questions but didn't know where to start. "Why did I forget about you?" she repeated. "You were given a memory suppressant to protect you," Ethan said. "It was the only way to keep you safe." As Ethan began explaining their family's history and why she had forgotten about him so many years ago, Emily realized that her life wasn't what she thought it was at all. The truth unfolds. Ethan handed her a folder filled with documents and photographs. As Emily went through them, she saw evidence of her family's involvement in the secret organization and the project they were working on. There were pictures of her parents with other members of the organization, and documents detailing their research. It was all so overwhelming but also enlightening. "Why are we being pursued now?" Emily asked, looking up at Ethan. "Someone wants the research our parents did," Ethan replied. "And they'll stop at nothing to get it." Emily felt a chill run down her spine. She knew they had to act fast to protect themselves and the research. The plan. We need to find a safe place to hide, Jack suggested. And then we can figure out what to do next. Ethan nodded in agreement. I know a place where we can be safe for now. But we have to be careful, they could be watching us. As they left the warehouse, Emily felt a sense of determination. She was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead and uncover the truth about her family's past. But little did she know, their journey was just beginning, and the dangers they faced were far from over. Chapter 6: The Pursuit Begins. On the run through city streets. Emily and Jack knew they couldn't stay in one place for too long. They had to keep moving to avoid being found by the people who were after them. One evening, as they walked through a crowded market, Emily felt a sense of unease. She kept looking over her shoulder, expecting to see someone following them. Jack, I think we're being watched, Emily whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Jack glanced around casually but didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Let's just keep moving, he said softly. As they walked faster, Emily heard footsteps behind them. She turned around and saw a shadowy figure following closely. It's him, Emily said urgently, grabbing Jack's arm. We need to run. They quickened their pace, weaving through the crowded market stalls. The figure behind them kept getting closer and closer. Suddenly, Jack pulled Emily into a narrow alleyway between two buildings. They ran down the alley, their hearts pounding in their chests. We need to lose him, Jack said breathlessly. Stay close. They turned corners and ran down side streets, trying to shake off their pursuer. But no matter how fast they ran, the figure seemed to always be just behind them. The narrow escape. As they turned another corner, they saw a bus stopping at a bus stop ahead. Without hesitation, Jack pulled Emily onto the bus just as the doors were closing. They sat down panting heavily, looking back through the window to see if their pursuer had followed them onto the bus. But he was nowhere to be seen. For now, we're safe, Jack said relieved but still cautious. Emily nodded but couldn't shake off the feeling that they were far from safe. They had to keep moving and find a way to uncover more about why they were being pursued. The next move. The bus ride gave them some time to catch their breath and think about their next move. They decided to head to an old friend's house on the outskirts of town, a place where they could hide for a while and plan their next steps. As the bus stopped at various stations along the way, Emily and Jack remained vigilant, always looking out for any signs of danger. Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached their destination. The friend's house was secluded and safe, or so they hoped. As they stepped off the bus and walked towards the house under the cover of nightfall shadows, cast by flickering street lights outside building walls looming large ahead, Emily felt a sense of temporary relief wash over her. But she knew this was just the beginning of their journey. There were still many dangers ahead waiting patiently unfold. Chapter 7: The Desperate Escape. The friend's house on the outskirts of town. Emily and Jack thought they had found a safe haven in their friend's house on the outskirts of town. It was secluded, and they believed it would be difficult for anyone to find them there. However, one night, as they were sitting in the living room, they heard the sound of footsteps outside. The door burst open, and a figure stood there menacingly. You can't hide forever, he spat venomously, his eyes blazing with fury and uncontrollable rage. In a split second, chaos erupted. The figure lunged at them, and Jack tried to defend himself and Emily. But despite his efforts, they were outnumbered and outmatched. The confrontation. The confrontation was intense and violent. Jack fought hard to protect Emily, but he was no match for their attackers. Emily tried to help, but she was quickly overpowered. As the fight continued, Emily saw Jack being beaten mercilessly. She knew she had to act fast if they were going to survive. With all her strength, Emily managed to break free from her captors and grab a nearby object, a heavy vase, to defend herself and Jack. She hit one of the attackers with the vase, giving Jack just enough time to recover and join her in the fight. Together, they managed to fend off their attackers momentarily, but not without sustaining serious injuries. The escape. Realizing they couldn't stay there any longer, Emily and Jack made a desperate escape. They ran out of the house and into the night, not knowing where they were going, but determined to get away from their pursuers. As they ran through the dark streets, their hearts pounding in their chests, they could hear footsteps behind them. But this time, they were determined not to be caught. They turned corners and ran down side streets, trying to lose their pursuers in the maze of alleys and back streets. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they saw a taxi driving down the street. Without hesitation, Jack flagged it down, and they jumped inside just as it stopped. "Take us to the nearest hotel," Jack instructed the driver breathlessly. The taxi sped away from the curb, leaving their pursuers behind in the darkness. For a moment, Emily and Jack sat back in relief, knowing they had narrowly escaped danger once again. But as they looked at each other's battered faces and bruised bodies, they knew this wasn't over yet. Chapter 8: The Betrayal. A hotel room. Once they reached the hotel room, exhausted, injured, badly needing rest recovery time. They collapsed onto a bed, holding each other tightly, trying to process everything happened so far. But as soon as fell asleep, Emily woke up feeling strange sensation. Someone watching her again. Looked around room. Saw figure standing corner, shadows cast dimly lit room, making difficult see clearly. "Who's there?" Emily asked softly, trying stay calm despite growing fear inside. Figure stepped forward, revealing face Emily recognized instantly. It was Ethan, her brother thought trusted until now. "Ethan, what's going on?" Emily asked, confused, hurt, betrayal evident voice tone. "I'm sorry, Emily, but had no choice," Ethan replied solemnly, eyes filled regret, sorrow, mixed emotions, conflicting loyalties torn between family obligations. Personal feelings toward sister, loved dearly despite everything. As Emily listened, stunned, silent, unable to comprehend reasons behind actions taken by brother once trusted implicitly without question, doubt ever before, now shattered completely beyond repair forevermore. Realized too late, trap set waiting patiently, unfold, perfectly executed plan leaving no escape route available anymore. Chapter 9: The Desperate Escape. The hotel room and the streets of the city. After the betrayal by Ethan, Emily and Jack knew they had to act quickly to protect themselves. They realized that Ethan's involvement was deeper than they had initially thought, and now they were in even greater danger. "We need to get out of here, now," Jack said urgently as they quickly gathered their belongings. They left the hotel room, careful not to be seen by anyone who might be watching. As they walked through the city streets, they kept looking over their shoulders, expecting to see someone following them. "We need a safe place to hide," Emily said, her voice filled with worry. "I know a place," Jack replied. "It's not far from here." They made their way to an old friend's apartment on the other side of town. The friend, Sarah, was someone Jack trusted implicitly. As they entered Sarah's apartment, Emily felt a temporary sense of relief. But she knew this was just a temporary solution, they couldn't stay hidden forever. The plan to uncover the truth. Sarah listened intently as Jack and Emily explained everything that had happened so far. She was shocked, but determined to help them uncover the truth behind their family's secrets and the reason for their pursuit. "We need to find out more about your family's research," Sarah said. "Maybe there's something in it that can explain why you're being chased." Emily nodded in agreement. "I have some documents Ethan gave me. Let's go through them." As they sat down to review the documents, they discovered more about the project their parents were working on. It was a groundbreaking research that could change the world, but it also made them targets for those who wanted to exploit it. The discovery. One document caught their attention, a blueprint of a facility where the research was conducted. It was marked with a location on the outskirts of the city. "This could be our only chance to find out what's going on," Jack said, looking at Emily and Sarah. "We'll go there tonight," Emily decided firmly. "We need answers." With a plan in place, they prepared for their next move, knowing it would be risky but necessary to uncover the truth. Chapter 10: The Final Stand. The research facility on the outskirts of the city. That night, under the cover of darkness, Emily, Jack, and Sarah made their way to the research facility. They approached cautiously, aware that they could be walking into a trap. As they entered the facility, they found themselves in a maze of corridors and laboratories. They moved quietly, trying not to alert anyone to their presence. Suddenly, they heard footsteps coming from one of the labs. They hid behind some equipment, watching as several men in lab coats walked by. One of them mentioned something about the project and the subjects. Emily's heart skipped a beat as she realized they were getting close to uncovering the truth. The confrontation. They continued deeper into the facility until they reached a large laboratory filled with various equipment and computers. In the center of the room was a large server room. "This must be where they keep all the data," Jack whispered. Just as they were about to access the servers, they were confronted by Ethan and several other men. "You shouldn't have come here," Ethan said coldly. Emily stood tall despite her fear. "We want to know what's going on. What is this project?" Ethan sighed before speaking slowly. "The project is about creating a new form of energy. But it's been hijacked by people who want to use it for their own gain." As Ethan explained further, Emily realized that her family's research had been misused and that she was now a key part of it. The final battle. In a desperate bid to protect themselves and the research from falling into the wrong hands, Emily, Jack, and Sarah fought back against their attackers. The confrontation was intense and violent. Emily used all her strength to defend herself, while Jack and Sarah fought off the other men. In the chaos of the fight, Emily managed to access the server room and download all the data onto a portable drive. But as she turned around to leave, she saw Ethan standing in front of her with a gun. "You can't stop this," Ethan said, his eyes filled with a mix of sadness and determination. With a surge of adrenaline, Emily grabbed a nearby object, a fire extinguisher, and sprayed it directly at Ethan, momentarily blinding him. "Run!" Jack shouted as they made their escape from the facility. The escape and aftermath. As they emerged into the night air, gasping for breath but relieved to have escaped alive, they knew this wasn't over yet. But for now, they had won a small victory in their fight for truth and survival. They made their way back to Sarah's apartment, exhausted but determined. Once there, they began analyzing the data they had downloaded from the servers. The information revealed shocking truths about her family's research and how it had been exploited. It also provided evidence that could bring down those responsible for misusing the research. The resolution. With the evidence in hand, Emily, Jack, and Sarah decided to go to the authorities. They contacted a trusted journalist who agreed to help them expose the truth. The story broke out in the media, revealing the misuse of her family's research and exposing those responsible. The public outcry was immense, leading to immediate action from law enforcement and government agencies. Ethan was arrested along with others involved in hijacking the project. Emily finally felt safe knowing that justice had been served. The new beginning. As the dust settled, Emily realized that her life had changed forever. She had lost so much but had also gained something invaluable, the truth about her family's past and a new sense of purpose. She decided to continue her family's work on the energy project, but this time with transparency and integrity. Jack and Sarah stood by her side as she embarked on this new journey.